we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right.
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create.
We choose truth over facts.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word.
It's television. It's what people are saying.
You've been watching television.
Silicon Valley
It's estimated that 200 million people have died, probably by the time I finish this talk. Agreed that everybody once they, in fact, they should... No, my time's up. I'm sorry. America's dead.
Welcome.
Chris. Hold on.
Yo. Oh,
that's too much. Hello, welcome, Ina and friends and family.
Welcome, everybody.
This Memorial Day stream covering the news tonight is me, Greg, Bidman Crab, with my co-host, Chris. And earlier today, you might have caught Colin co-hosting with both Hardlens and RBN because COVID censorship. But don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us beat that algorithm, which is both censoring us and suppressing us. A lot of us, independent media like us, like RBN, you can see them already getting a strike, pretty much are barred from streaming at all for a week, so they had to come through us. But we're glad to help them out. But YouTube is a dying platform. We're going to have to somehow establish that at some point. We're going to have to, understand that, we're going to have to make Rumble or Rockfin some sort of other alternative.
It's crazy. YouTube really is like, you can't talk about the COVID thing at all. You really can't.
Yeah, no, that's why, I'm not even saying any words. I'm just saying I'm good as far as I'm just saying the jab. That's as far as I'm going. I'm not even, we're already at 2. I'm not even risking it. There's no point. We don't talk about COVID enough for that, but either way, I hope all of you had a great Memorial Day, a great day off of me. Looks like AOC, according to her Twitter, seems to have a relatively good Memorial Day weekend. It seems like this past Friday, she had a town hall with answer questions, discussing debt limit notifications. But that
pretty good turnout.
Wasn't all that happened. There were critics that were out hall where they're actually barred from entry. These are literal constituents. A lot of these people live in the area. And so you can see here, Bronx activist Jose Vega tweeted a video of Saturday showing cops and congressional security prohibiting him and a friend entering the Rona town hall in which Ocasio-Cortez was blasted as a piece of shit for championing illegal immigrants. So this is from something else. But so to get more detail about what had transpired here this last Friday and to get more of an understanding of the events, we have the man himself, Jose Vega. You might know him from calling Nancy Pelosi an old sad drunk to her face. But here he is. Welcome, Jose. How you doing?
Hi,
man.
Thank you for joining us.
That was your Memorial Day.
It was good. I spent it here at home. What better way to spend it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, no, we gotta rock this 4-day week, this 3-day weekend. The Japan's already doing it with the 4-day work week. But yeah. I really we really wanted to get you on because we wanted to. I mean, I came close to coming to this. I mean, this was this was like a mixed day in my head that I thought it was on a Saturday, but I just got out of work when this happened. But I know I talked to Lucy a little bit about this, who is also banned from entry. And I just wanted to ask you directly. I wanted to hear, and just for the clip and for the audience here, just to describe briefly, why, what you do, why you showed up here, and ultimately what had transpired.
We knew that the AOC Town Hall was going to happen for quite some time, and we knew generally where, in what neighborhood of New York. I guess they kind of beefed up their security since last time, not making it. And I was a little surprised with what put up, but when I saw what actually transpired, I saw that not a lot of those people were actually there to see, probably had some support, but a lot of it was not. To give a shout out to the ladies who brought out that an actual something criminal was pretty, and an official criminal. I think that was the sign that they had, but I had three other people other than kind of and myself because we kind of figured something was going to happen. Either we were going to be bought immediately, or they put us somewhere where we can't be heard, or they could easily back. Because before, Congressman Espaillat had recognized Kiner and I back, and they let us in. And he just gave us a special shout out and said it might get loud, so and it was either January or February that happened, but it was okay. And but this one, no, they just barred us from coming in, and I think you can see in that.
Do you have experience with this before? Has this ever happened to any sort of public event where constituents were invited?
No. Also for constituent, but Kynan is a constituent. And that's also not to say they didn't let non-constituents, and they didn't first, and then all the non-constituents.
It's not like it's a paid event. You know what I mean? It's different from a private hosted event. This is a town. When you say it's a town hall,
it's supposed to be open to everybody, right?
Yeah, you're supposed. When you're calling it a town hall, that's automatically you're addressing your voters, right? Or at least you're supposed to.
Well, even if you're a congressperson, all the decisions you make affect all Americans. It is that
right.
Any congressman should take any citizen who comes to their office as if they were a constituent, and deal with their problems. For example, in the Midwest are just absolutely getting wrecked right now, and it's just as bad now as it was in the 80s. What's a congressman in New York going to do? A whole hell of a lot for them, and that's what if I was a congressman, them and but anyway, yeah, no, this was
especially
the same thing that Jamal
leverage as she has too.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's also why I was really proud about who I posted on my. Also, Colin got her afterwards in the interviews that he did. She was the one who was talking about Thomas Swalwell and stuff. We're still working her. She's.
Okay. But you knew her.
I was the one who. She got told by someone else in my crew about the event, but I was the one who told her about ask AOC why not use her and the squad's influence to withhold their vote on Vitus. He ends the war, right? And my idea to tell her to do that was because I wanted other people to kind of go with that idea, why not withhold your endorsement unless he concedes on Medicare for all or this student debt loan, right? That's not a hard thing to do, but see, it's also a scary thing to do. Jamal, congressman, gutless cowards. But if he even considered the idea of, unless he, concedes on something, he will know what fear is. And he probably has been slapped metaphorically and figuratively, of course, for not going with the party. So basically, my point is, it's these people as coward, except us. We have the moral high ground. We're the ones who, and it's not our fault. It's the Republicans' fault. It's like, really, you're doing everything you can. Yeah, no bullshit, right? I think AOC kind of deserves this treatment because, I mean, in my mind at least, I thought of the U.S. Like because Claire Daly and Mick Wallace are just two EU thing done in the pragmatic sense. Like they're only 2 votes and fascism, but we respect them because they speak the truth and they actually fight. They say what they think, right? And like that's why we respect Claire Daly and Mick Wallace. They're only two votes out of like whatever how many seats is made up of the European Parliament. It could be just AOC, right? Like if she had forced the floor vote for the Medicare for all and people didn't vote, at least you fought for us. At least you show that you actually care about us. And then it's a system. We're going to replace the Congress. It's that simple.
Yeah, they're able to hide against this veil of civility politics of like where we don't choose violence, where like any sort of, and I put this in the caption here, but when valid criticism becomes just pure violence. Now here's some footage. I believe this is Rachel, right? Hold on. One second.
Well, there's 2 Rachels. There's Rachel Brown.
Oh,
whoops!
did we lose him?
Oh, maybe now Jose's getting the dip now. Now they're getting hit on CIA. Well, let me get him back. Here we go.
Man,
bro,
they're coming harder at our feed 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, no. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. Let me keep it simple, just in case. Here we go.
Okay, hi. Yeah, sorry about that. That's Rachel Brown. There were 2 Rachels.
Okay.
I guess I shouldn't say too much, but at the same time, like, I don't care because, like, we have way more people be afraid of that. Like, they can bar as many people as they want. We have more people that they don't know of.
I was gonna ask you, do you know if anybody else was barred from entry that day? Any other journalists or anything?
Yeah, and how did they get in?
Can you hear me okay, by the way?
It's kind of going in and out.
I'm like a little bit, but I can hear you still. Like it's still coming through. Oh my god!
It's not your T-Mobile, is it?
I'm going to a T-Mobile, and I'm gonna like.
Okay, is this better?
Just like okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see how this works. So, what was the last thing you asked me?
No, I was just wondering if you knew of any other reporters who are barred from entry as well. If there's like, we could probably make the assumption that there's like a list somewhere where AOC's team just like doesn't allow anybody in.
Well, Lucy,
like, how did she get in? How like why was she like how? Because I'm assuming like she was with your group, so like how did she?
Yeah. Okay. So, like, I don't want to give the sauce away, but there really isn't much to give away. The thing is that they're all New Yorkers. Like that's it, right?
Right.
Everybody who came, and like I said, AOC at first was allowing only constituents to come in, and then if there was room, then all the non-constituents come in. So all the non-constituents were able to come in. So all of my friends were non-constituents. The only constituent in my group was Kynan, and he's the only one barred. And like, I'm happy to say, like, we have constituents who have been recruited, who, can like go in now, whose faces and names they will never know until it actually happens. So, AOC can suck it.
I didn't know that they could do that stuff at town halls and just be like, nope, if you're not a constituent, you can't be here. Like, make all these guidelines. Like,
honestly, there probably is a lawsuit that could happen. I ain't the kind of guy who has money like that to just
It's a DNC.
if there's some,
I get that.
and it's a DNC, right? So they'll like bankrupt me and they'll drag it out, as long as they can. Maybe I'll have some
That's what happened
victory.
with heroin after the New York Times. They
It's just when they represent they're supposed it's like you hear that argument on Twitter or on the internet where people are like, well, what are you to complain? You don't vote for her. It's like you said, Jose, she is responsible for voting for these things that impact every single person in the country. She should be held accountable by everybody. So
especially when they have certain forms of leverage, but during times like force the vote and times that they can use it for
or
they want to fund capital.
There's plenty of things where most of the stuff that they do at her level impacts people across the entire country. It's not just people in her district. So
I in the beginning of her career, in terms of being a congresswoman, and she got rid of Joe Crowley, I think everybody on the left saw that as like a shining example of something that can come as good. Because she was being interviewed by Glenn Greenwald. She was talking about how she wouldn't vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. And she was saying, yeah, we're going to free Assange. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to cause a ruckus. The thing that bothers me the most is that she said, I'm ready to be a one-term congresswoman.
Yeah, just what I was thinking. The one-term congresswoman thing is like the thing that bothers me.
And the thing is, it's not a secret what happened. So in the beginning, yes, Republicans were going after her. She was saying some things that were dumb on interviews. She couldn't answer questions. I mean, yes, that's what happens, right? You're 28 years old. You really don't know the answer to a lot of questions. Okay, fine. Right. And so the Republicans were kind of poking fun at her. And that was the start of when Republicans were poking fun at her. But, that Iron Dome funding was terrible and she was crying about it. Right. The fact that she voted to send money and weapons to Ukraine, despite the fact that she's supposed to be this progressive socialist who's supposed to be anti-war. And here she is playing right into the hands of the military-industrial complex.
She had that thing last month. Or was it less than a month ago? Where she did the recruitment drive.
The military recruitment event. Yeah. We had
sad.
We actually got in touch with the Bronx anti-war. I know Richie a little bit, so I was talking to him a little bit.
Yeah, I was at that. That was fun. They wouldn't let us in. Well, they wouldn't let anyone in there. They were just like, okay, maybe they just wanted students. All right, fine, whatever.
But they weren't even letting parents in, from our understanding. It's crazy.
But So what was I saying? The thing is, the Democratic Party is trying to say, I'm going to reform the mafia from the inside out. The only way that could ever happen is I don't know if it can. Honestly, I don't think it can.
RFK seems to think so.
Well, I like RFK. I just wish he wasn't.
CIA is good guys,
I just wish he wasn't running as a Democrat. Otherwise, I agree with 90, 85,
that's what Jimmy
80,
said.
maybe 75% of what he says. I don't know. That Israel thing really kind of threw me off, but when you get into that position of authority and power, and you are somebody who but this is a problem for all of us that all of us need to consider, because we are all passionate about what we want to do. We are all passionate about this is wrong and this is wrong. This is wrong. That's the easy part. What are you prepared to actually do? Because I don't think any of us really understand what that means until you're actually in the seat that AOC is in, when, oh, damn, now I'm actually in the belly of the beast, and people don't consider what that actually means. And so what happens is you just get swallowed up by it. What I mean by that is she was probably talked to or told, listen, you're out of your league. You really don't know what you're doing here. I'll help you out. And that's where it starts. Well, you have to make moral concessions in order to actually stay in that power. You have to decide you know what? I have to, everything I thought I knew about principle and what I thought I was going to do, out, if I want to survive here and make it here.
It also bothers me when people, or at least like, either shitlibs or liberals kind of whitewash AOC as like sort of like a mistaken project, like as if she has good intentions, but she's just making all the wrong decisions and making terrible mistakes. I mean, this is the same woman who was, pushing congressional pay raises for like years. Like this is not like this shouldn't come as a surprise if it's like in the corruption type of relationship sense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't surprise me, and it shouldn't.
I do think that there was a time, because I don't think anybody goes into government thinking I'm going to be evil and corrupt. I don't think anyone ever starts that way. You become that way. And
Really?
I do think so.
I think it's like kind of like
I do think
people
you
are
need, like,
like
a
going
little bit,
to
like,
it
of the
knowing
ego
that they can
to,
be
like,
corrupt
run.
as fuck.
Not maybe not corrupt, but I think you need to be like a little bit of an egoist to want to run. I feel like
maybe.
I think there's like some sense
that's
to that.
putting it politely, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I happen to think you need a lot of government. Like I'm a true lefty in that sense, right? I think you need a lot more government. I do think you need stuff like Medicare for all. I think you need a centralized, you need a national bank. I think you need to go back to what Hamilton was envisioning. I do believe in a top-down government approach to things. And so what you need for that to happen is people you can trust in those positions to do it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, you get what you have now, which is just like fascism, to be quite honest. And that's it. It's just fascism. And it's been this way since Kennedy was assassinated. So, I mean, like, for example, if I decided to run, would you guys think I'm corrupt and evil? I'm sure a lot of people.
Well, so, and this is like the kind of like question about RFK's like true intentions. Like, if he knows the game within DNC, why wouldn't he have run independent from the start? And like, it's just at some point you have to ask yourself, like, do you go into the DNC? Like, there was a time where I would give AOC more of the benefit of the doubt. And I could see like maybe she went into it with good intentions, but like it didn't take long for them to be like, look at all this money, look at all this opportunity. Look, you want to go to the Met Gala? Oh, I bet that'll be cool. Wear this cool dress that says tax rich on it.
Yeah,
and like all of a sudden she's just like raining in money and opportunity, and she's like, I can make a career out of this. So like I think
I want to say, like, despite all of that, I have tons of respect for independence. It's a different.
I think it's a completely different ballgame. I would feel completely different about RFK, and I'm somebody who's like pretty against electoralism in general. If RFK had been like, you know what, after all this shit that I said about what happened over the last 3 years, I'm gonna kind of like stand behind my morals and run as an independent, I'd like be feeling differently about him. But like, it's kind of like what Kim Iverson said on her show, like with
I
RFK.
trust you, but I don't trust the Democratic Party. Yeah. I agree. And like, Brianna Greyjoy, who's like sometimes I watch and stuff, like she says it's a good thing that there are people like Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr. running. And I think this is her position. I might be wrong, but that the reason it's good is because it'll actually force Biden to be pushed to the left. Yeah, right. Or like actually do stuff that he said he was going to do. But I think she's drawing the wrong conclusion from that. The only thing it's going to do is make him cheat harder. Like, let's assume that Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr. genuinely want to challenge Biden. Let's just assume that, right?
Yeah. Okay, we can play that mind game for a second.
This is not going to be like Joe Biden, like, maybe I better give people Medicare for all so I don't lose. It's, how do we rig the DNC primary so that I stay in power more? Like, come on, they don't have your interest. They don't care about you. They could care less about you. Challenger is only going to make them cheat harder, not make them want to play fair, play honest. So
that's kind of how I see it, unfortunately. So hopefully RFK will kind of speak more to that as it becomes more and more obvious that Biden's the nominee.
I did ask Kucinich, who's his campaign manager, this last weekend up in Kingston, New York, where he held a rally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a peace unity rally. It wasn't an RFK rally. It was like a generally anti-war rally. And Dennis Kucinich was there, and I asked him, like, listen, like, can you really trust the primaries after what they did to Bernie? And do you even think our last election was fair? And we're on YouTube.
Great
right?
questions. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the elections were fair and honest, and anyone saying otherwise is a liar. Anyway, so no demonetizing for you. The elections were fair. Anyway. And so he said, well, I didn't vote to certify the 2000 election. So, election security is a very big deal, and you'll see. We're working on something on that. Elections have to be fair. And so I was like, okay, well, I mean, I want to see what that comes up to. We'll see what that means.
Well, it's like with Dow with the same thing. Like he was like, oh, this is a sinking ship, and I'm out, and it's because it's rigged from the start. That there's like, what's really going on here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what Marianne Williamson is thinking or doing. She's terrible on the Ukrainian war, and like, what is she? She says we need to go back to an FDR style of economics, but like, I don't have any indication that she actually knows what that means, because one of FDR's biggest things was we don't need to interfere in other countries. We need to look beyond this age of imperialism. So, and she's over here saying actually Putin's like a thug and a war criminal.
Yeah, just crazy stuff.
And
the FDR framing is so fucking cringe, because you're talking about a family whose foundation was funded by the British East India Company. And who's that? That's the company that funded all of the opium wars in China for years and pretty much demolished an entire society.
Well,
so like, to say that, like, and Kennedy comes from a similar family. That's why, like, where like I share like my criticisms, and that's like we kind of like jumped out like with our red flags our way, because like it's not just RFK, he's also like part of a dynasty, and that's a bigger deal than
I have a problem with that as well.
Your criticisms are true and honest, but I would ask you to give FDR a second look. And I mean, Kennedy was far from perfect also, but FDR told Churchill, and this is also why Stalin thinks that Churchill killed FDR, but like in like 1944 or 1945, he told Churchill, when this war is done, you're going to let go of India and you're going to let go of Africa, because the age of empire and colonialism is over. It's done. And his wife helped founded the UN, which is completely useless today. But the idea of the UN was that there's a universal declaration of human rights. And I think the intention of his government is the reason why you have a lot of the infrastructure you still have today. Like a lot of New York City was built around
of course.
FDR.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of good things,
like
but
the highway system.
That was more Eisenhower, but yeah.
That still required some form of pressure and some, like years of Great Depression and like union protests after all of the shit in the 20s. FDR at heart was a capitalist, but he did push. I mean, we can have this argument another time, but like either way, like he saved capitalism from itself. Essentially, he delayed late stage capitalism another like 100 years.
Well, I don't know about that.
Was it like a drastic reformation of the system? Like, of course, and like that's why they're trying to gut like a lot of the benefits of like Social Security and retirement that we have today.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Like, he helped pass the Glass-Steagall bill, which actually put restrictions on Wall Street and also on the banking. So it divided speculative banking versus commercial banking, which is what allowed the economy basically to recover. Not just that, but he also founded the Tennessee Valley Authority, which was responsible for many of the major infrastructure projects that have allowed people to live the way they do today. And when he ran for governor of New York, he ran on a single issue. He wanted to electrify New York, and he won on that platform because he wanted to bring electricity to like rural towns that only had like one or two farming families. And they said, well, what the hell? Why are we going to spend all this money in technology just to fund a couple farmers? And he said, well, because you can give them refrigeration and you can give them the ability to actually double and triple their crop resources. On top of that, he comes from a family called. There was one of his descendants is named Isaac Roosevelt, who was I believe he studied Hamilton's economics, and FDR wrote his thesis on Hamilton. So a lot of the economics that FDR used came from both Hamilton and Henry Carey, who was Lincoln's economic advisor during the Civil War. And that was what he used to help break us out of the Great Depression. I think FDR proved that what you needed to run an economy was not the money, but rather the physical elements behind an economy. So, in other words, and also to your point about the pressure, I mean, Caleb Maupin tells me this all the time. He never lets me get away with it saying. It's like, at the time, there were like 2 million card-carrying communists or something like that, right? And so he says that FDR was actually the most socialist president of our time. I don't know if I'd characterize it that way, but that's how Caleb Maupin does.
The most socialist president of our time?
Ever.
You could say that, yeah. But that's like such a low bar.
But yeah, that's like, well, like I always think of him as a compromise because
I get it. I'm interested in hearing more about that. Like, I'm open to more of like these like interpretations. Like, I want to hear more about.
You're never gonna find a perfect president. You will never find a
no,
perfect
of course
person.
not. And I want to point that out, like about like people like Lenin and Stalin and even like Tito, like these people like a lot of our leaders like in our previous times. I feel like I was told by someone like from like a different organization that like our leaders play a certain role in one period of time and they play another role in a different period of time. And so you can see like how these characters like morph over time. They typically rule like for like they have like or like have power for a relatively long period of time. So you can see like their kind of character morph and evolve.
And that's always going to be true, like forever. There are periods in history where we revere people, and then 50 years from now, who the hell knows what people are going to be like. They canceled Gandhi somehow. They did it. They did it. I don't know how they did it. But they did it, right? Because they dug up the fact that he was racist to Africans once. Like it was like a seriously. And then they tried to cancel King recently too, and like because he was cheating on his wife like a lot.
Yep.
And that's just true. But I think my point is that if you look for a perfect example of somebody in history, you'll never find one. And the point isn't to look for one. You know why? Because we're all far from perfect too. I got my vices too. I've said them very publicly. I got mommy issues. Okay, women dominate me. Go ahead. No. It's a joke.
I get it. No, I get it.
It's a joke, but I do fall in love very fast. Okay, so I get heartbroken a lot. If the CIA, you see, that's the thing, right? Maybe I got to go harder on what I'm doing because, like, maybe the CIA will send me a good girlfriend to get me out of politics, and that'll be my government mandated girlfriend right there.
Like fucking RFK Jr.'s son.
You think they're gonna keep her on the payroll for that?
They should. Like, I'm okay. This is a public memo to the CIA.
Mandated girlfriend.
A nice woman who's well-read and wants to get me out of politics, but will take care of me forever. I'm out. No problem.
You weren't here, folks.
I'm out.
Ready to mingle. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. So but to just finish the point, yes, we are all very imperfect. And that's also why I think people should read Shakespeare, because the tragedy aspect of it, like the reason why these things are so oftentimes the reason why things end so badly is because of your own faults. Like that's what it is. That's why Hamlet is such a tragedy. Like people are on the verge.
We sort of project it onto ourselves, I feel like.
Yeah, people are usually on the verge of doing something great, but their own faults prevent them from seeing the action they need to take. And we see that all the time with Hubert. Like, for example, with the Rage Against the War Machine stuff. It was very hard for me and for anyone to really figure out, like, how much of this is genuine opposition and hatred to it, and how much of this is, like, actually influenced by outside sources, whether it's, like, the CIA or the FBI. And that's just true for all of our circles in the left. Why? Because
we have a lot of infighting in the left. That's just a given. That's just true. How much of it is genuine? How much of it is influenced? Actually, a lot of the ways that operations are worked by intelligence service today is not even an agent posing as like some influencer. The thing is, they profile you because of the internet. All your shit is out there. All your messages, everything you've said is out there. They have a profile of you. They know how to manipulate what you're prideful about. They know how to manipulate what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what you care about, what you don't care about. They know how much debt you have. And that's how they manipulate you. That's how they get you to actually act. They do things to provoke you in ways that don't even seem like influence from the outside. But it's like, was that? And, that's not to make anybody paranoid or something. I was actually thinking about that with my last girlfriend after the AOC thing.
It's true though.
No, like on a serious note, like after I did the original, this is like insider info, I guess. Like after the original AOC thing, I was pretty depressed. I was going like really, I was not in a good place mentally. Like October, November, December, and the beginning of January, I was mentally gone. My grandfather was dying. And I had this girlfriend at the time who I was like seeing every other day. That was like my coping mechanism. And the only person who helped me get through it, honestly, was Kind of. And like that guy really like helped and pushed me out of whatever bullshit I was doing. But everything just seemed like so, I didn't even know how to describe my circumstances. And that's like my point to you. It's like how much of the depression that I was feeling was a manipulation of my circumstances already. Because not only that, I had mysteriously lost a job that I had back then that I just didn't talk about. And that's how these kind of operations are done, to the point where it's like, are they influenced by someone outside? Or is it just something that happens naturally, that are just natural consequences of living? And the thing is, you can never know. And you're not supposed to know. That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
Exactly.
I had that thought too. Like, how much of like my personal life is manipulated?
But see,
by
dead
sources.
I saw a thing on Rockfin. Max Blumenthal was interviewing somebody, and he's talking about how the UK has a thing called nudge, where they kind of do that sort of thing. They just kind of influence you in very subtle ways to create habits, to where you're kind of almost doing it on a subconscious level. So
we showed an article where the Pentagon was funding, like,
without a doubt, the government is in on trying to influence your behavior in these subtle ways. Like,
look,
without
we use the internet 13 hours a day, maybe some of us.
Yeah,
I don't fucking. The moment I wake up, the first thing I do.
Most of us are terminally online.
Yeah, like the first thing I do is I check Twitter. Like obviously that has to be engineered. Okay, just the act alone.
It's programmed. 100%.
Well, like, and the way that they don't release like the notifications in real time. They come out and like burst to kind of like fuck with your head as well.
Yeah.
So there's like all sorts of different ways that they get it to turn it into like an addictive behavior.
So you have retired intelligence officers who work in social media networks. All of them, right?
All of them.
Yeah. So, question is like, are we in a matrix? Like, is the internet the matrix? No, seriously, like these are questions we all gonna have to start asking pretty soon. Like, to what extent is everything we believe, everything we think we know, manipulated by the internet, and how much of it is genuine? What if I'm a psyop? I don't.
Yeah.
No, there is like a theoretical, like not even a theoretical. There is like a real matrix. It's not like in the same sense that like Andrew Tate wants you to believe, but it's purposely cooperated and incorporated and manipulated in a way to influence, or at least take like first and foremost.
Yeah, it's like getting blue pilled, like just becoming like an NPC and just sort of like you're plugged into what the cultural narrative and all that.
Are there
I can tell you, like, getting into this stuff, like, you'll never go back. There's no like, you every time, like, as soon as you get deep into it, you can't unknow things. Like, I can't like unknow that like my government like blew up an energy pipeline. Like, it's not like I can't like unknow that. Or I can't like unknow MK Ultra. There's no way you're gonna like erase that from your memory.
Yeah.
So it's too late at this point.
Quite a rabbit hole we've fallen into here.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to show like the original confrontation here.
Oh yeah. That guy's
so this is the guy,
a Matrix
and
agent.
I want to ask you like, well, you know, like what kind of like led up to this point, like how you think he identified you. But let's watch.
It's a Mr. Smith there.
Yeah, if you want.
Well, why can't he go in?
I'm telling you, can't go in. That's why.
Why is that?
Because I'm telling you, can't go in.
So he's not allowed in.
Yes, he's not allowed in.
Why?
Look at this guy,
dude. Sketch.
What is that pin, by the way? If somebody can tell me what that pin is, because I've seen that pin many times.
I don't know.
It's like Pentagon.
Like what disturbs
So what,
me
like-
is like it's not like the fact, not even the fact that you couldn't get in. It was like I hope Jose is still here.
I'm here.
But like
I'm here.
okay,
Yep.
it was the fact that like he said it so quietly and like maliciously like you're not getting in here.
It's like not
Like
happening.
it's not like that's like straight fed, like that's like it's just a disturbing.
Tell me he's not allowed in.
Why?
Not the reason. I'm telling you he's not allowed in. So that's the reason. If you want to hang out here. Thank you.
It's just kind of ridiculous to me. They're not giving me any kind of reason whatsoever. They just escorted me out. I registered for this. I'm a constituent, and they're not allowing me in.
Unfortunately, I do not.
Don't expect them.
Fucking cops like defending AOC. That's freaking sad. The own constituent was like, I got thrown out by these these shock troopers, these fucking people throwing me out, and the cops are just like, oh, democracy.
Yeah, I think those guys. I think the guys with the pin are Fed. I don't know what kind. I think that's Capitol Police. That's what I.
Do you think this guy's cop? And now, like, why? So, what?
Capitol Police.
Was he originally able to enter, and then he was? So you're saying he was escorted out, but how far in did he get?
He got up to. So the event was hosted on an auditorium in the second floor, but when you go into those doors behind him, you have to get. You know, they have like metal detectors there to make sure you're not bringing in a weapon or something, and then. So you walk through the thing, and then they escort you up to the second floor where they have actual registration tables and stuff.
Fucking guy.
And so as Kynan told me, he says like, you know, because he did register, they just told him, wait to the side for a second. And then they kicked him out.
It's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay. So you think possibly he identified his name, and then maybe it is a list of people that they keep.
It's gotta be. Yeah, exactly. A name,
Dude,
picture,
they got
maybe.
They got footage of people now. Like they just got.
Well, do they have pictures? Like, are they aware of that this is being posted on social media? Like, sure, right?
No, I know that for a fact because Kynan and I were recognized at an Espaillat event a while back in like February. And Espaillat gave us a shout out. When I say he gave us a shout out, he called out Kynan's full name, which was like, it's Kynan Thistlethwaite. All right. He said it, Kynan Thistlethwaite, which was like, honestly, that's how you would, if you didn't know how to say Thistlethwaite, that's how you would say it.
Mm.
And so that means that they did their research. They know who the fuck we are.
Right.
And there's an APB out, you know, for all New York Democrats to, hey, watch out.
Shitty, man.
Yeah, and so it looks like this was...
Don't ask questions.
We'll
make a file of you.
Oh, yeah.
That's messed up.
Another military recruitment.
That's another one?
Yep.
Oh, my God. Now it's just a thing. So she just normalized it.
And you were
She
in
totally
line.
normalized it.
Oh, yeah, this is Rachel Brown.
Yeah, I wanted to play this as well, but yeah, we'll play. You provide some context.
Wait, okay, so just say that, repeat that again. I'm recording this now. So you were at the event, right, and you were in line, and then tell me what you heard the security say.
One of them said he was going to go downstairs and make sure that certain people that didn't come in that weren't supposed to, and they said, one of them said, oh, yeah, we already got one of them. And then they said, well, did you see the other one? They said, yeah, he left too.
Incredible.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so just say that.
So it's a list. They have a list of people who are now barred from voicing any sort of opinion whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I also want to say this publicly, like, yes, we have people who are going to go in there, but there were other people who were not with us that did it. Like, well, I don't know about the Cuban guy. The Cuban guy was not with me. The one who was like shit, called her a piece of shit. I don't advocate for that.
I have that pulled up as well.
I don't advocate for people calling congressmen pieces of shit. I'm sure other people feel differently. And yes, I've sworn at congressmen before. So, but that guy was not with us.
This is just some random. And I noticed. So there was like a couple of conservatives outside. So like those two, like the woman with the NYPD hat that Roger interviewed.
Yeah.
Like, did you know her too?
No, just the one after the NYPD hat.
So is it like common for like conservatives to like show up to these things and kind of?
When Kynan and I did the original AOC Town Hall, the entire audience was me, Kynan, and then people who were supporting the opposition to her, the conservative challenger to her, Tina Forte. They were all heckling her on like stupid shit, like immigration, taxes.
So let me get this straight. So like if you criticize her from the right, if you criticize her from the right, you're allowed to get in and curse at her and do this. But if you criticize her from the left, you're completely barred from entry. That's correct.
I wouldn't characterize it though as me getting at her from the left, and the reason I wouldn't say that is because I have a lot of followers who think all sorts of things. I have Republicans who love what I do. I
don't like that, like the.
Well, I mean, I think we can kind of have a universal truth here that like having an anti-war position is a left position, and like
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think it's anti-war is anti-war, and I don't think it's a left position. You know why? I think
more of a libertarian.
It's
I don't know.
I don't think it needs a
Libertarian
label.
communist would like.
I don't know. I think it's kind of like putting people first, kind of like.
I don't think it needs a label. I think anti-war is just
labels are bad anyway. We don't want labels.
I'll agree with you there.
It's just anti-war is just anti-war, and like that's what I'm saying. Like the reasons these videos go viral is honestly a lot of the time the reasons the videos go viral is because like it goes international. Like some of the like there was a Mexican communist dude who like shared one of my videos and that got like another 300,000 views. But it's people like Dan Bongino, who's like prominent right-wing guy. And, they throw in their own little thing in there. Like, yeah, because like with the last one, with the New York Times one, he said like, yeah, the Julian Assange thing. Yeah, and they were wrong about vaccines and they were wrong about COVID. And then, then he starts throwing in more right-wing stuff, which I forgot. They were wrong about border security. like, okay, all right, whatever, right? But the point is like there's some big shows on the left who shared it too, like Redacted is a big one, Jimmy Dore is a big one, but there is something about it that I think transcends the party lines that everybody picks up on and realizes like this is more than just a political. This is a trying to survive position, and I think no matter who you are, you resonate with that. And I honestly respect that and I love it because what I think the message it sends is put aside your politics for a second. Realize we're on the verge of nuclear war. We all have one thing in common right now, which is we all want to survive. Let's go back to fighting each other after we get rid of the threat of nuclear war. And I think that's successfully coming through. And also there was another guy, not the Cuban guy who called her a piece of shit, but some guy who said, $140 billion to Ukraine. That's coming out of my pension. That guy wasn't with me, but that's like that was just a genuine honest guy who's like fuck all this money to Ukraine. Like I like that a lot. And
was there a video of that?
Somewhere. There was footage of this thing that even I didn't see that I was like, whoa. I was so happy about that. And so this is another public message to AOC. Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep coordinating this, but honestly, like. The people who are going to come to these town halls are going to be pissed off.
Like it's good to see that like people are just going and being pissed off on their own accord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you don't have to organize that's when it starts getting really bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, and I'm really happy about that. Actually, that I didn't need to organize everybody who spoke there. Like she was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear war with Russia. We're sending
See, those people were not with me. Pause for a second.
on the verge of nuclear war. It's not okay.
People in the back were not with me.
Okay, are you going to stop this war? That's my question. Are we going to...
Yeah, we know about the
we know about the paper. Why are you afraid of your constituents?
Who is this guy? So this is something that
See, I was about to say.
Reef calls him the boo guy. I just wanted to ask you.
That's the number one AOC donor right there. He's given his 2,900
He's
every
got
quarter. But I want to point out, actually, like I just realized, like there were people with signs in the back. Those people were not with me at all, and I'm so happy that they were there. Wow, I'm just realizing, like, holy shit, like, and I guess they, look, see, that wasn't even planned for them to hold the sign up. That's amazing.
Stop funding Ukraine.
They just decided to go with Rachel for this. Like, you see, wow, that's actually really great. Like, I didn't know they were going to.
People are pissed.
I'm actually kind of speechless, actually, because like I didn't even see those signs. Like, wow.
Can't keep hiding it forever.
That's amazing.
They're trying to continue. And here's another thing. It's like you can tell they hire people to boo the crowd. They definitely have a bunch of people in there that get the crowd worked up.
I mean, you have to give. I mean, it takes a lot. Like, it takes a lot of balls to do this. I mean, I've been in these situations. It's like preparing yourself to get absolutely roasted by the entire room around you, while like trying to like stay, true to your principles.
Stay true to your principles,
buy into like the environment.
It's only going to get worse for AOC. She probably won't be having too many more of these before her next election.
Yeah.
I have a question right now.
That's the other Rachel.
Don't you and the squad have the ability to tell their supporters not to vote for Biden unless he concedes on ending this war? Why won't you do it?
Great question.
That's a lot of money you are sending to Ukraine. And you're talking about you're bringing money to your community? What about the war? She don't even want to answer the question. She is contributing to America's debt. You are contributing to America. You got a lot of blood on your hands, and you're going to have to answer to God one day. You're going to have to answer to God one day.
I love that line, by the way. Like, we should be telling that to all the politicians. Like, you're going to have to fucking answer.
You have to answer. Yeah, but
I hope you fucking burn it.
They sold themselves to
because they sold themselves to it. Yeah,
that was all Rachel. I didn't. She went on that.
Was this Rachel or was this someone else?
There are two Rachels. So the previous one you played was Rachel. This is the second Rachel.
Okay.
You keep clapping and smiling. You're gonna have to answer to
They're just pretending she's not even there. Oh, there's the handler.
You are not the truth. You are being brainwashed. I need y'all to wake the hell up. If COVID-19 did not wake you up, then you are asleep. Why you letting this lady rock yourself to sleep? Stop funding this.
Yeah, that was my favorite. One of my favorite ones out of that one. But,
yeah.
You got two Rachel. That's crazy.
We were talking about like what should she say, and I just thought like, well, pose a question, like pose an obvious question, which is, this is something the squad can do. Don't endorse Biden unless
we're not even talking about Medicare. Like, it's not the war.
It's really not that crazy of a concept. Like, they're just not send weapons and F-16s. We've been pushing against this for like 2 years now, and the needle just keeps on going and going. And how many? It's just this falling like domino effect where just like we just keep sending, first just F-16s and like Patriot missile systems, and it's just going to keep escalating to the point where they're not gonna have a way to turn back, and that's usually how it ends up. It's gonna be Afghanistan.
Well, you had
too.
Belgorod last week, and so we'll see what happens. All these splinter cells start waking up.
Yeah, and then Jerry Nadler says he doesn't care if the F-16s are used to invade Russia. Like, this guy, look, everything is escalating. AOC is playing a role in it, whether she thinks so or not, because I have some indications that she doesn't support Zelensky. Like, for example, when Zelensky came to the Capitol or to the Congress, and he testified, she wasn't there, Bowman wasn't there, Rashida Tlaib wasn't there. They didn't tweet about it. They were tweeting about other shit. They ignored it, right? That's not good enough. That's just like, not being cool with it by omission. And so the fact that you can sit by and do nothing while this war continues to escalate, and you have an authority as a congresswoman, why is it that Marjorie Taylor Greene is better than you on this issue? Why is it that Matt Gaetz is better than you on this issue, right? The Thomas Massey, like there are Republicans who are better on this issue than you are. And this seems to just make the most sense for you to be on. You know why? Because the Democratic Party is the war party now. Okay, they're the Raytheon party. Gentlemen, the Matrix is telling me I have to go because my phone's on 4% and I don't know where my charger is. So.
All right, man.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was good talking to you.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Invite me back on.
Thanks for coming in and explaining this out, man. I appreciate you.
And listen,
appreciate the work.
Listen. If you get a girlfriend, break up with her. Why? She's government mandated to get you out of politics, to get you out of the revolution. Don't trust it. Okay?
Don't believe anything.
So, anyway,
all right.
take care.
Appreciate you. Have a good night.
Right. Have a good night.
How do I? Oh, here we go. Okay.
There we go. Okay. All right. Well, back to your regular program. I think we can head into the tech segment now. If you want to try
to go right into it,
sharing it, yeah.
I'll try.
Because we got to watch. This one's going to be another breakdown.
It's kind of interesting. We kind of like touched upon. So anyway, last week, right after our show, there was a conference in DC called DIA in DC. DIA is this app that apparently Ukraine has had for years, since before COVID, which is a little interesting. That's the quote unquote everything app that I've talked about, that Elon Musk has said he's wanted to replicate. And so they had this huge show with Samantha Powers from USAID, talking this up, and the vice prime minister of Ukraine, talking up this application, basically trying to pitch it to venture capitalists and like assuming US venture capitalists as well, like just kind of goes with that agenda. So I'm going to kind of go through this video and pick it apart. A couple things to keep in mind. I guess you put it up, but I guess we can start with 10 minutes, but basically I want to start off this conversation. I've already said what I've said about Elon Musk and what I think he's doing with Twitter and X Corp. And like we've talked about how we
have a whole video on it.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot.
Totally for the world. He's totally for the World Economic Forum agenda, and has been the entire time.
So he's talked as wanting the Twitter to be the everything app, the WeChat app. So I just want to say, like, going into this, like, get into the mindset that, like, I kind of believe that, like, this is the direction that Elon Musk is going for. And when you look at his WEF CEO, he's like a WEF young global leader. Like, it's just kind of like all fits into that kind of overarching thing. And you'll see as we go through this. It's freaking Orwellian. It's freaking crazy. So I guess we can start about 10 minutes.
І це його серце. І воно б'ється з кожним вібром під час дзвінка або під час СМС. А в ньому наше українське
This video is from 2020.
держава
I just wanted to say this, like, video of Zelensky.
So dislikes disabled, no comments. It's unlisted.
Yeah, so you have to go through the USAID website to find it.
This is an unlisted. Okay.
So they don't want the Norwegians watching this.
Мільйони українців щоденно користуються.
They really don't want this hopping around the algorithm and people catching
Not at all. They recorded it for posterity, and that's about it. But yeah, this video is from So what the Fedorov says, the vice prime minister says, is that they conceptualized it in 2019 and implemented it in 2020. Very ironic that they kind of made it live 2 weeks after the pandemic happened. I'll let you guys kind of like play with that. There's one point Kara Swisher kind of like says 2016. Fedorov's like, no, 2019. So if you want to like grab your tinfoil hat and explore whether they've been plotting something like this for almost 10 years, I don't know, but like we know for sure that they've been using this app since 2020, which kind of like blew my mind when I figured that out. I was like, wow, so they've been doing this stuff for the last 3 years since pandemic started. They were like the
well, we know from that COVID that EU COVID conference that COVID-19 or at least coronavirus has been, you know, a human lab experiment for the past.
Yeah, but I didn't know that apps were getting this involved where they were already. It's just before the like freaking special military operation happened. Like,
the military gets everything first. You think we don't get it?
It's just crazy. It's crazy how it got. It's crazy that USAID was funding this like years before this was ever on my radar, and that like USAID is like 4 or 5 years ahead of the people who are like kind of
and
like
this is before,
being like, we need to like worry about this.
Russia?
This is 2020. This is 2020.
It says this was streamed 6 days ago.
This was streamed 6 days ago. The video that you're seeing with Zelensky, okay, that they posted up there, that he's talking, you see all the phones lined up. That video is from 2020. They like were trying to get everybody in Ukraine to download the app. One of the ads when they released it, it was like early 2020. So right when the pandemic started getting crazy. So they've been doing this stuff for a long time. Really crazy. So I guess
сервісом «Дія». Це більше 100 державних послуг без контакту з чиновниками, цифровий паспорт, відкриття рахунків, сплата штрафів, податків, отримання державної допомоги, коштів на допомогу армії. Все це українська дія. Україна не випадково стала одним із глобальних лідерів в цифровізації публічних послуг і соціальних відносин. Це прямий наслідок того, на що ми здатні. Сміливість і освіта, здатність боротися за свої інтереси і знайти найзручніший шлях. А шлях, щоб реалізувати інтереси, це те, що дозволяє нам перемагати. Росія намагалась зруйнувати нашу цифрову стійкість, але ми не дали цього зробити.
They definitely been using. There's another video where they've been using it.
Дуже міцний. Ми побудували кібероборону країни. Ми продовжуємо розвивати державний сервіс «Дія». Цифрова країна – це не лише зручність, це країна, де бюрократія та корупція стали нетиповим явищем. Це потужний економічний розвиток, бо частка цифрової економіки у світі швидко зростає. Україна – це простір цифровізації, який дає простоту, дає найголовніше прозорість будь-яким відносинам між людиною і державою, між компанією і державою. Це те, чого ви не знайдете сьогодні у більшості.
He's directly describing fascism.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because one of the things I wanted to say throughout this thing, especially when Samantha Power starts talking.
We want to combine the relationship between business and state. What happens when you create business and state together?
Fascism. It's a great example. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't really mention that, but like we should think about how like words when it's like under this kind of like Orwellian regime, and when you see Samantha Powers talking, they have euphemisms. They don't mean what they mean. So when they talk about democracy, they're not talking about democracy. They're talking about fascism. When they're talking about convenience, they're not talking about convenience. They're talking about surveillance. So just like think about how if you're like a normie just watching this, you might think it's really cool and you can't wait to get your hands on it. And you hear Kara Swisher talk about how like awesome it is, but no, like it's just about controlling us. You know,
especially in Ukraine where you don't have much like information either.
It's just crazy. I think they said I'll find the notes, but like it's millions upon millions upon millions of people using it.
І держави – це те, чого ви не знайдете сьогодні у більшості країн світу. Те, що вчора звалося мрія, сьогодні називається дія. Отже, головне – мріяти і діяти. Все це ми робили і продовжуємо робити разом з вами. За підтримки великого американського народу. Завдяки USAID кожен цент вашої допомоги є максимально ефективним та прозорим. Ви не лише допомагаєте боронити нашу землю від кривавого агресора, а й реалізовувати нашу мрію, побудувати найбільш вільну та цифрову демократичну країну у центрі Європи. Демократія та технології переможе. Я радий вітати учасників Дія in DC у Вашингтоні і щиро дякую кожному і кожній з вас від імені вільного українського народу. Слава Україні!
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So let's just like think for a moment that it's like it's the fascists that want this shit. Like they're the ones promoting this stuff. Like really good. So
good morning, everybody.
Let's see. I guess we can listen to one of those.
To be here.
But I don't know if everybody should know who Samantha Powers is. She's the administrator of USAID, which is kind of like the soft power regime arm of the CIA. So like when she speaks, she's talking out both sides of her mouth. She uses word like let's just play it. Let's just play it so we can kind of hear. It's good to hear from the Belle of the Beast, these people who are working behind the scenes. Like the USAID is the go-between between the state apparatus and the public-private partnership. Okay.
Yeah, USAID is like the big bad guy.
So
that's the guy
like
you're really
when you have governments going at each other and doing like war, you have organizations like USAID kind of going behind the scenes and kind of orchestrating these public-private partnerships to kind of implement this neoliberal kind of regime into these foreign countries. So she is a very, 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 very dangerous woman. Okay, imperialist to the core. It's just not imperialist with guns. It's imperialist with like American capital. So it's just like listening to this woman is always like kind of like looking into seeing how crazy how they kind of look at regime change in a different way.
President Zelensky and all of you for joining us. As you all know, government events are famous for being cool.
No, we can skip to 15:30. Never mind. She's just gaslighting.
What did she just say?
She's trying to make it sound like because it's a USAID event. It's a government event. She's basically like, haha, like normally
government events are famous for being cool. Oh, she's trying to be sarcastic.
Yeah, because it's a tech event. It's a government-sponsored tech event.
Let me boost the volume a little bit. 15.
Of that work. But first, I want to give a few words of context.
Yeah, we can listen
about how DIA became the transformational platform that it is today and where it can go from here. Imagine, and for the Americans in this room, this will unfortunately sound like a fantasy. Imagine that nearly everything that you need from your government, you can get with simple taps on your phone or browser. Want to access your passport to cross the border? You want to apply for a construction permit? You want to register a new baby or a new business? You can do all of that on DIA. Imagine eliminating the infinite lines under fluorescent lights in government offices, the stacks of paperwork that ask you the same questions that you have answered hundreds of times before, the endless waiting for documents to move through the bureaucratic machinery. The more that we reduce these headaches, the more we build that foundational trust that democratic governments are capable of meeting the needs of their people. Platforms like DIA also reduce opportunities for corruption because having
I bet they sure do.
standardized processes and a visible, transparent record of fines that you pay as a citizen, fees that you have to pay, payments you get, all of that takes away opportunities for officials to skim off the top.
But that's
and
not
digital governance.
So we actually have an article right there, like that's like I think it's at the bottom. But no, we remember when the war, special military operations started, and we were sending over money. We remember that like 2/3 of it was getting stolen, like making it to its final destination. That we caught. I had an article pulled up where you have Ukrainian freaking apparatchiks, politicians trying to flee the country with sacks full of American currency. Like there's still plenty of corruption. But what you're going to start seeing now is instead of the corruption going through the politicians directly, they're like skimming through this freaking, technocratic state where you have this public-private partnership. So the grift is coming from the private part of more of the private entities than through the government itself.
Yeah, this is like, for instance, like in America, the IRS doesn't go towards state officials. The IRS is mainly targeting the middle class, at least as of right now.
Right. So it's so they try and say this idea that it'll come down on corruption. That's not really true. It just means that the grift is going to go in a different direction. Like, yes, Ukraine has a huge problem, but it's not going to go away. I have articles I could show you, but like there's still plenty of corruption there. There's been corruption since the war. People like you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen, but like
they're funneling
people are selling freaking weapons
weapons
through third-party sites like Craigslist of the freaking selling weapons on Ukraine. Like they're not tampering corruption. They're just trying to
It's
make
money laundering.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. It's obvious money laundering, but the amount that we've given at this point.
But digital governance platform, that's the key word there.
Platforms also help governments respond quickly to emerging crises, as the people of Ukraine have seen firsthand during the war. Over this past year, DIA has been a lifeline for the Ukrainian people, providing everything from cash payments for internally displaced people to an easy way for people to report damage from Putin's missile strikes. So DIA has actually shown us what is possible in e-governance, shown all of us, all around the world. But it has also shown what it takes to get to this place. Because the fact is, when you're dealing with technology that is so fundamental to people's lives, the old Silicon Valley credo to move fast and break things just doesn't work. You can't accept security breaches when the data at risk is your passport. You can't accept bugs in the system when you are trying to register your newborn
Just
child.
wait, Dr. Nick Rivera. I haven't even
So a
showed you the
platform
snitch
like
app
DIA
yet.
relies on robust and secure digital public infrastructure, which we have been working with the Ukrainian government, UK Aid, and the Eurasia Foundation to build since the year 2016. We started this work on digitizing government back then as part of an anti-corruption push. We worked with Ukraine's government ministries
That's
to
probably
build
good. How far through it are
databases
you?
that could easily communicate.
1830.
Yeah, that's probably good. So just to kind of give you an idea of what she's saying. So it reduces corruption, which you already know is like not really what they're going for here because there's still plenty of corruption on the platform. But one of the phrases you're going to start seeing a lot, especially when they mention later in the video that there's other countries that are kind of adapting this platform, is like a digital governance platform. Okay. The other thing that they kind of, well, I guess we can get into that later, but that's, oh yeah, one of the things worth noting.
We're seeing this already happen with FedNow, and
Right.
this is coming. Like I said, like we already said, in July, and this is all coming to wrapping together. And in my mind, and I haven't asked you about this yet, but personally, like I wanted to like connect the dots between.
I think you might see the dots.
Government default and the FedNow payments.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really think that like FedNow is really like the capitalist like last like escape, like emergency escape button. Like this is how they're trying to save.
It's another way they're trying to save it.
Yeah,
I say they're running.
Well, they know, like they're fully aware that the like de-dollarization is happening and that the dollar is going to crash and the empire is going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
They're fully aware. They understand that. And I think that FedNow is a function of how elite establishments are.
I mean,
protect them.
I think they're just trying to. I guess I haven't thought too much beyond that. I would say their motives are.
I haven't thought about that either, and
it's a little odd that the CEO of Cash App was like murdered right before that got announced. So that's a little fishy. Whether the government is just trying to get their hands, get rid of the middleman instead of having, which is also, I'll mention, like one of the biggest like sponsors of this event, one of the biggest sponsors of freaking Dia is Visa. Okay. So it's worth noting that like payment processing is a huge element of that. That kind of goes back to what you were saying with like X Corp and like Elon Musk saying he wants people to be able to process payments on it. So again, like payment processing is a big deal of this. But we can probably go, let's see. Yeah, 19 minutes.
Already basically there.
Okay.
But...
in the first place. Then, in 2019, President Zelensky and then Minister
2019
Fedorov laid out a vision to do something far more ambitious.
2019.
To
Tell me he wasn't a puppet
the
since
state
the very
in a
beginning.
smartphone that you are about to see. I know I speak for myself and for so many of us at USAID
This is the video.
when I say that it has been a true life privilege to have a role in supporting Ukraine in this effort and to see the stunning impact of the platform, especially now when it matters most. So I want to thank those on our USAID teams at UKAID, at the Eurasia Foundation, and in the Ukrainian government who had the foresight to invest in Ukraine's digital transformation beginning 8 years ago. I want to thank the companies that made it possible for DIA to keep expanding its services. Companies like Google and Visa, the fantastic co-sponsors of this event. And
so she kind of let one like sneak out right there, because like Kara Swisher says it later too. She says 2016, and she said 8 years ago, which would have been 2016, right? 2015, 2016. So and
So 2016 would be when what?
So Euromaidan happened in 2014. Okay.
Right.
Trump was elected in 2016, 2017.
Right.
This would have happened.
He was giving weapons to Ukraine.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying that I get the impression based on what she just said right there and the fact that Swisher kind of like lets it out later in the interview that they've been planning this app for almost 10 years. And like, so they like Fedorov says later, he's like, no, 2019, it was conceptualized, but it's really relevant and really kind of suspicious that Zelensky was elected. And then within 6 months, people were able to download Dia. Okay. Tell me he wasn't a fucking puppet. Tell me that wasn't fucking planned. Like it just sounds.
He's been ever since Zelensky was elected. He's been a puppet. But...
So I think that like they've been planning this stuff for a very long time, and there's a lot more here, and we're just like not prepared. It's bad. I really thought I was like on this shit, and it's like, damn, they've been working on this stuff for a long, long time. This is now just at the point where it can get into all of our faces and in our little hands. But yeah, I think there's the like state of the smartphone. I think there's a video that she played that plays with more Zelensky.
Oh, wait. I don't think she did yet.
Oh, then just go to okay. So you just keep playing it because at 2150 and what
now,
yeah. So like I just love this line.
Ukraine is becoming famous for something else, a new product.
Ukraine is now a product. It's no longer a country.
Yep.
It no longer has its own.
Look at this thing we can.
What happened to Ukraine's? What happened? Whatever happened to Ukraine citizens' like individual rights as citizens?
No.
They need Crimea and they need the Donbass because they have the right to self-determination, right? Or are they a business? I don't.
Well, so Fedorov tries to position the app as something that's like making it easier for the citizens, but really it's about controlling the citizens. So, and the people in the audience are mainly people who are probably interested in like venture capital or maybe investing in Ukraine. So they're positioning it in a way to make it look appealing to like the freaking entrepreneurs and the bourgeoisie less than workers. So I think that's kind of deliberate. But yeah, there's the part about at 2150 is kind of interesting.
The Ministry of Digital Transformation is working to make DIA an open source digital public good that it will give to other countries so that they can build digital public infrastructure that serves their citizens.
Okay, so this is really crazy
e-governance like
Orwellian
Estonia
language that I kind of want to get into for a second.
learning from Ukraine's experience and adopting their own versions of DIA.
There you go. Okay, so she says a lot there. So one thing that's like really crazy to notice is that USAID, which is supposed to be like kind of like a soft regime change arm of like the CIA and like the Pentagon, okay, helped Ukraine establish this new government organization, new government agency called the Ministry of Digital Transformation. So basically, USAID has got their hands in other countries, telling them how to create this platform, this like state of governance, digital governments across these other nations.
There's e-governance in Estonia?
So yeah.
What is that?
So that's and
I don't know about that. Like, is that something that's
so there's
like...
there's other countries that are adopting Zanzibar, Estonia. There's some others that are adopting DIA's platform and are going to put it out there. So it's
so Estonia not like running under an e-governance platform yet, or are they?
Well, and this is sort of the thing that she's talking about is as part of implementing this DIA app, governments have had to establish, Ukraine did, a Ministry of Digital Transformation. So you can assume that the US is going to have some sort of Ministry of Digital Transformation that you don't know, I don't know what they'll call it. It'll probably be under the Department of Defense or something like that. But they'll have some overarching body that's going to be responsible for the language that and how they conduct business and how these apps operate. That being said, USAID is part of the US government. So if they're telling other governments how to create that policy, you can bet that's going to be a policy that's going to be favorable to US interests, right?
Did you read that like article about like creating like government policy through AI or something like just like having like an AI like leader or something like that? Wow, I mean that's like really what the end game is.
I mean that's like the neo-reactionaries, like Peter Thiel, who wants an AI in his image and just wants to be a lord through AI. I think like I kind of have like a tinfoil hat theory where Jeff Bezos is kind of collecting data through freaking his like assistant so that he can eventually create his own AI and make that AI like I can go down the whole transhumanist hole, but I have a feeling that like people like Jeff Bezos would prefer that his company is under his command forever. And if he can do that through a company, like through an AI in his image, then like he's going to do that. So I could see something crazy like that happening. Like you imagine that if like Jeff Bezos AI was the CEO of Amazon. That's what I kind of see happening. That's part of the transhumanist agenda.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
In January of this year, I announced that USAID would support partner countries that are inspired by DIA and want to accelerate their own digital transformation by developing and expanding their own e-government capabilities. What this looks like is naturally going to differ from country to country, but we are committed to helping our partners find ways to make progress on digital public infrastructure. I am thrilled that USAID will be working with Colombia, with Kosovo, and with Zambia, for starters.
Zambia, okay.
And Kosovo, which we'll probably get into like a little bit later.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that.
But you can see
like, now it's getting kind of hot.
Mm-hmm. But you can see that there's other countries
on
US is meddling in to create.
No, they already have like other countries that are like running under like sort of like a technology based platform.
I think
I know some like South American countries do it. Forgot which ones.
It'll be interesting to see when. I mean, I think the FedNow thing is going to be kind of a linchpin. Once you see FedNow,
we're going to have to see what happens in July. July is going to be really when it wraps everything up. I'm telling you now. But we'll go to 2420, right?
You go that one, or you can actually just go to 2750.
All right.
So this is the Ukraine ambassador to the U.S., and she's introducing a video. This is just kind of like a promo video of Dia to get people to download it within Ukraine. So it's just weird that the Ministry of Digital Transformation was created 4 months after Zelensky became president. So like this was a plan way before Zelensky became president, and he was like scooped up into it.
Сьогодні ми робимо перший крок, але це великий крок. Презентуємо мобільний додаток Дія.
I'm just like, so like in the business of like graphic design, like I'm just like noticing how much like trendy like mainstream like tech shit that they're using right now to like really appeal to like, and even the music too. It's like all marketed and it's like, oh, like try this cool new government app.
It's cool.
It's this trendy new app. It's gonna be the new TikTok.
It's the super target consumers.
Ukrainians will have soon appreciated the benefits of. It is very like rebellion.
90 million Ukrainian. $9.2 million transactions, 19 million Ukrainians. Elon Musk wants Twitter to have 1 billion people on it. Okay, so just imagine like the amount of money that Elon Musk would make with a platform that had 1 billion people on it. So, a couple things that stuck out to me with that video before Better Up comes on. But they were the first nation in Europe to introduce the digital ID, digital COVID certificate, and ostensibly like the digital passport. So that all sounds really, really cool. And like they talk a little bit about like the refugee crisis and stuff like that. Easy to like send people money. What happens if you're like doing your thing and all of a sudden you want to come back to Ukraine and oh no, like we saw a post that you posted on freaking social media and now you're freaking out.
It's too pro-Russian for
us, now you can stay. Now you have nowhere to go. So they can shut off, like they pitched as convenience, but at the end of the day, really what it is a way for them to control you. Like, yeah, it's really convenient for people who are like leaving a war-torn like country to be able to flee with just their phone and have money deposited into a phone like that. But at the same time, now you're having like the government completely track every move. Even when you're in another country, they're still tracking you. And they can just be like, you're no good anymore. Like, revoked. Good luck getting on a plane. Revoked. Good luck getting a boat. Like, you're not going anywhere. So then you become.
They did this with COVID already.
Yeah, well, you had the good argument is you saw the trucker protest a couple years ago in Canada.
Yeah, they just shut off your bank.
They just shut off people's banks,
that too.
And that's going to happen. Yeah. And there's a video. There's another video of Ukraine where they basically talk about what their goal is for 2030, which is interesting that 2030 keeps popping up. But they want to completely abandon paper currency by 2030. We were a little bit more pessimistic about that, but they say 2030.
And people really like underestimate, well, maybe not our circles, but like underestimate the like how quite literal the fascistic aspects of Kiev are. They'll lock you up for like anything.
Well,
They'll lock you up for a lot, and they lock up kids too. Like there's no mercy with these like Eastern European.
Let's play a little bit of Fedorov's. So 3343. What's another thing to keep in mind is this guy's was it Vice Prime Minister
We're not going to do
for Innovations, Development, Education, Science, and Technology, Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. Okay, so he's like the head of that Ministry of Digital Transformation. One of the things he kind of talks about is like how the app is supposed to get rid of bureaucracy. But what's ironic is that in order to get rid of bureaucracy, they had to create an entire ministry to accommodate getting rid of that bureaucracy. So they've just replaced it with something else. Right? And ostensibly that has like some of the public-private shit. Like you got a problem with your app, you're not able to freaking like get your home loan that you want through your app. Well, guess who you're talking to? You're talking to probably some private citizen in another country to get that. And they say, oh, we've eliminated bureaucracy. But what they've done is just outsource it to another country, you know?
Most of it is like, it's
just gross.
Outsourced to other companies. It's the government's not capable of doing this shit by themselves.
Hell no.
So, yeah.
We decomposed our mission into 4 goals: to transform 100% of government services into online,
oh my God.
to provide 95% of the population with quality access to fixed and mobile internet, to teach 6 million...
Like, at least Zelensky, like, when he talks English, it's like...
It's pretty, yeah, it's kind of rough.
Like rugged,
it's kind of rough.
We asked Congress to give us more money, and then, like, this guy's like...
Ukrainians' basic digital skills.
Basic digital skills.
Well, when he does the Q&A, he has an interpreter. He doesn't even... So this is all, like, prepared for him.
To increase the IT GDP up
I don't think
to
he can even
10%.
really speak
It was
English.
5% before the war. It was crucial for future achievements to find deputies who are capable of accomplishing these goals. We have taken another significant step to create a unique org board. We have implemented the position of CDTO.
You can go to
in every
3517, I guess.
ministry and every level.
That's yeah. This
of
guy's
state
just like
institutions.
too annoying to listen to. But this guy's the
We
head of that
form-
ministry, and he's just kind of going over the own bureaucracy that they created to get rid of bureaucracy, which is a joke. But there's some interesting statistics that come up in this video.
Who's ready for a fresh start? And those unafraid of starting over. We are creating a transparent state to make life easier. So the bakers can spend time filling pastry, not filling out papers. Askers can get any answer online. And neighbors can wake up at dawn, not to get in line, but simply to enjoy the sunrise. We are initiating changes to allow family businesses to grow and big startups to get...
Okay, so you were talking about the most, like, at least financially, the most corrupt country in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
And
most
you're
corrupt.
saying that you're providing them with a government app with free access to all privacy of all of your citizens.
Look,
is the elimination of schemes seems a little
Look,
bit like gaslighting.
I'm gonna send you.
I don't know.
I'm gonna send you. Pull up this. I'm gonna send this to you really quick. Pull up this Gateway Pundit article from last year. Okay, so they've had this app since 2020, and people like after the invasion, not invasion, the special military operation started. Like Ukrainian officials were fleeing, like trying to flee the country and running away with sacks full of money, like millions upon millions of dollars. So the idea that there's like, oh, it's so transparent, no more corruption, just complete and utter lie. Complete and utter lie. And we don't even talk about how there's like the public-private partnership where you're just having these services that now the government is responsible for paying for these services, like Amazon Web Services or Google.org and all these other services. They pay for those services. You think Google is like paying them like charging them fairly, or Amazon is charging them fairly. I think those services that this government now has to pay for, there's like a whole level of grift going through that now. So it's just, they're just changing the way in which that corruption kind of occurs to people. But you see all that freaking money, dude. That's crazy.
$28 million and 1.3 million euros on top of that. That's crazy.
So it's not
That's
even
your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen.
It's like you remember in Afghanistan, the way they would pay people for the reconstructions, they had like trash bags just full of money, just full of American currency. They would just pay people in American currency. So the idea that like
they're giving
the
them
printed
pensions
money
and healthcare too. We don't get that.
No, it's crazy.
They get, like,
and that's
we
like
fund,
and that's
social services to other countries too.
So, and that's actually speaks to kind of a bigger issue that's kind of about this like shock doctrine. That's also very interesting, is that after the war started, I can send you another article. After the war, whatever you want to call it, started in Ukraine in February 22, when it got escalated to that point. One of the first things that happened under the Zelensky regime is they repealed a lot of worker rights. So considering they're still considered wartime at this point, I would assume, they still have the people picking them up off the streets, throwing them on the front line, shit like that. Like, now is an opportunity for venture capitalists who want cheaper labor to say, ooh, Ukraine, they recently like made worker rights even worse, and they can work longer for less money. Oh, that's appealing to a capitalist. Like, so this is kind of shock doctrine at work. Now, if we knew like the app's been going on for years, you could see something like this happening is like maybe not totally related to just the war. And maybe they saw that there was an opportunity that was going to be generated by venture capital interest in seeing worker rights get eroded, made them more inclined to do something crazy like this. So this is like shock doctrine at work. This is just crazy. You're going to see, like, I didn't even really get into all this stuff. This is just this video, but there's just the tech sector alone. You're kind of seeing this happening, especially, but like they're dismantling worker rights across the board. It's a very ugly situation for regular Ukrainian citizens. Fuck Nazis, but also we can feel bad for the citizens who just like wanted to wake up and work a normal fucking job. And like now they're having to deal with a war-torn country run by like ruthless oligarchs and like corrupt officials. Anyway. It's just like the corruption's still there.
So we understand that Ukraine is probably one of the, after all of the, especially after World War II, all the corruption that's taking place there. Now I'm trying to find this app that I had this on.
Oh, for the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Or the
here we go.
DIA?
I got it.
Get bigger, to empower people to believe in their dreams and stand up for their rights, to make lines shorter and life fuller, to make it convenient.
Digital health
whatever
care.
happens. DIA.
Whatever the hell that
I'm
means.
sitting here asking for healthcare. Period. They're getting digital healthcare.
But I mean, what do you even think? Do you think people are going to get, like, I don't even know what their situation is. Like, maybe they get socialized medicine, but do you think it would get better by having them have telemedicine? You think they're going to get better care?
It's already
through
happening.
telemedicine. I know, but the argument is that like they're, by eliminating the bureaucracy, putting it through the app, that they're providing a better service. And I would argue that telemedicine is a lesser service, and it's not as good as like.
So here's the
seeing
thing:
person.
is that like usually whenever the government creates something, like
it gets
for
worse.
instance, like the Department of Labor, it's usually fucking terrible. So like they can't like really do anything effective, especially like make a website or an app. I mean, this is an outsourced to a third-party company. I'm not necessarily sure how this is. I mean, the way that this is framed to me is that this is just another function of control for the Ukrainian government, which is already fascist enough. It's already pretty. And
that's another thing. So you bring up a good point. It's just like think about if they have like a health app, they can like see that your medical records and be like, oh, this person's flagged, better not sell them a gun, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, oh, see, like, I don't know. It's having that kind of digital trace with your medicines is a total different ball game.
Ukrainian Public Services Online, putting your needs first.
DIA is one-stop shop for all electronic services. As of now, 19 million Ukrainians use DIA. 70% of all smartphones have DIA installed. During this time, we have launched 100 e-services and documents. We were inspired by the business cases more than government apps, and we oriented on new customer behaviors of our citizens. Our first revolutionary service was Passport. We became the first in the world to do it. Now you can travel around the country, get public and private services.
First one during COVID.
13 million Ukrainians have Passport in DIA. We launched a feature to share electronic documents, and this opened up new possibilities. For example, on average, 80,000 bank accounts open daily online with it. Let's watch the video.
In 2019, we initiated a new age, digital age. We created the world's first digital passport, a passport that's always on your smartphone, a passport that's impossible to forget, a passport that doesn't require a copy and notary sign on it. Confirming your identity takes just 2 clicks. Sharing a certified document, same thing, instantly. It just takes 2 clicks. Passport in DIA simplifies dozens of day-by-day situations.
Our second revolutionary service, DIA Signature, fundamental service of digital country. You can generate in your smartphone, unlike other countries, your face biometric are compared with the biometric of the demographic register.
In China, right?
Well, so what he's talking about here? So instead of having a notary public, what they're going to do is they're going to use your face, assuming someone's like kind of like what they have on the iPhone, to do like a digital signature. And they already do it. So yeah, the same thing that we see in China.
Well, like I guess so that's like Face ID, right?
Yeah, I would assume it's probably
that's
a little bit more.
Enough. I personally use Face ID.
I don't use that shit.
You don't? Are you an iPhone? No, you're not.
No, but I like that. But like, yeah, my understanding from these ads and stuff is that it's like a facial recognition feature that they use to authenticate stuff like notaries. Like that's crazy to me. Oh, you need like to do a home loan? Let's see your face. Like that's it. I don't know. That they seem to think that it's going to have less opportunity for fraud and corruption, but I don't know. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I don't know. I just think that it's sketchy, those kind of biometrics that are being available to do everyday things. You know, like what else can they attach that to?
It's getting worse and worse. I mean, Snapchat.
I mean, this is the same thing that I was saying with like the payment processing. That's all going to be done through biometrics. You know, you're not going to be able to send money without having like a GPS with your facial scan attached to it.
Oh, it already is. It already is
Yeah.
with the iPhone. Before you buy an app, you have to use your face, or you type in your passcode. But either way.
So I mean, I would think that
Right now
they'd
it's
be a
optional.
little bit robust on a freaking government app, but I don't know. That just seems sketchy to me.
Wow.
Could probably
In
go
real
to
time.
4350. What do you got now?
38.
Yeah, go to 4350. So I'm skipping over a part, but basically there was a moment where one of the incentives for people to download the app ostensibly was that they sent people money through the app for getting the COVID jabs in Ukraine. Okay, so they were kind of bribing people early on in the pandemic to download the app and get the jab. I figured that I didn't know about all that. but they were getting paid to freaking do it.
One component of the ecosystem.
This
Let
is all
me
the
tell you
crazy shit, by the
about
way.
Other elements. Dia web portal, Dia education, Dia business, and Dia city. Within our educational goal, we have launched Dia education program. We shot mini series with popular Ukrainian.
That's so bad. That's so
Okay, so
bad.
let's just talk about
That's
like
just indoctrination.
so
basically-
education. What's interesting is who's the big supporter of the education element in it, and we can kind of skip over it, but the big one is Google.org. Okay, Google sent 50,000 Chromebooks to Ukrainian citizens so they could do e-learnings. Okay, so whether you're a refugee or whether you're at home, Google sent you Google Classroom material. They sent 50,000 Chromebooks to Ukrainians to do this stuff. So just kind of like extrapolate that on a larger scale. Like it's really not hard. Anybody who's ever used a Chromebook knows how shitty they are. Doesn't take much to think.
Dude. That's why they're like worth like $45 because you could
They're
just
they're so bad.
you
But
just
like
pull it
that's what I
up
mean.
and it's
like I really could see the day where because they're so cheap that they give them out so easily, okay, that like they get written off all the time, that a government could subsidize Google so that they could send Chromebooks to every single citizen, okay, and just have you do learnings. I could see something like that happening. I've already had kind of like a thing in my head. The only way that the metaverse is going to work is if everybody has 3D goggles of some sort. Well, how are they going to get that in everybody's hands? That's going to be subsidized at some point. So like I see something like this happening.
So in my hometown in South Jersey, in my high school had like this transitioning period. It was between when I was like a like a sophomore and a junior, right? And so like they had like an entirely new, like brand new built school. This is like I guess it's like a rich area like divided by like a poor area, like mixed together because we only have one. We share the same zip code. So there's one high school. It's like small space. But as soon as the new high school was built and everyone went to the new high school, we were given iPads for like learning. And you know what? That just turned into like people just playing games on their phone and like world history too. And you know, like it's like really like their own faults. That's really a terrible implementation. Like we're already like it's already fucking crack. This technology shit. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally like stuff like audiobooks. I mean, I think I can take things that like facilitate real life, like you know, development in a way. But like, Jesus, like.
Well, I've said like the people.
They said like the first thing I do every day is like Twitter. It's like I can't do it anymore.
It's true. I get that.
Yeah,
I can relate to that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Google is behind the education stuff. That's why it's notable because you can see the public-private partnership stuff, the shock doctrine shit. Let's like turn everybody into e-learners. And we've been talking about this stuff, how they want everybody to just like do like learnings and work at home and live at home and do learnings at home and trying to like if you really go down that rabbit hole, like people have been talking about this stuff for years. So to see that like Google already was like sending people Chromebooks and having to doing that stuff through like a government app is a little shocking to me. I mean, yeah, like my ex's daughter got a Chromebook from school to do e-learnings during COVID. But like this is like a different scale. Obviously, it's a lot different for a couple school systems sending like computers to everybody to like a company and a government sending Chromebooks to every citizen in the country. 50,000 anyway. That's a shitload.
Where's our healthcare? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I know. No, it's paying for these motherfuckers.
Stars, and we have been teaching the young and the old various digital skills. 1.5 million Ukrainians have accomplished different educational series. We would like to become the Netflix of education.
Hi. I saw a library announcement about a free computer literacy course, so I decided to improve my
So you
ability
can
to
pause
use
it.
the national
This is
platform.
interesting. Okay, so only thing I want to draw attention to here is like you see where it says 67 to 90, like on the education.
Just like her
So
rating.
yeah, so what does that mean that she like does enough programs and she gets points, and those points like go towards something? They don't talk about that.
Oh,
stuff
maybe
at
it's
all.
like a credit score. Maybe it's like a social credit system.
I would think that it's more like a job credit score. Like it helps you like, oh, you have 90 credits, like you are eligible to like have these sort of jobs, or like you can show people that you have these sort of skills. Like I don't know. It's just weird that they've kind of like have this like kind of gamified education element. Maybe it goes towards degrees, but it doesn't say a degree. It says digigram. Like what's a digigram? Like
DIA, digital education.
Part of the marketing too is like use like these like vague like made up terms so that they can like manipulate, like can purposely confuse you into like different like kinds of currency and different times. Like
yeah,
that's why like games like you see this a lot with like free games on like the App Store, where they'll have like a bunch of DLC, like or like every game is like divided into like 5 different currencies, and you have to pay for like 3 of them. Some of them you earn through like just playing the game, and then it's all done to like purposely confuse you. And like I've talked to like a game developer about this.
It's true. I believe
like that's a purposeful like element within game design in order to like just create these like made up currencies that you don't understand the true value of them.
Well, it's like I see on one of the things that bothers me, getting off topic a little bit, but one of the things that bothers me about TikTok is the addictive nature. Oh, it's not gambling because you're giving people hearts and cakes instead of like dollar signs. Like you see, like you buy people stuff. The way that they get stuff in TikTok is through like the gifts, and the gifts are different little things that like you seemingly take the dollar value away from, and it's not gambling anymore. It's just people freaking donating gifts to you, but the gifts have value. So I understand what you're saying, that they just kind of like substitute it for something else just to throw people off, make them think that they're not like really like wasting their money or gambling.
It's not real money. Like they because they can't think they're not thinking that they're spending $5 USD. If they're really spending 25 crystals on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they don't know
it's just 25 crystals.
They don't understand that 25 crystals equals 5 real life dollars. They think they can't like imagine. Like a lot of people they can't like normally I'm not saying that people are stupid, but you know what I mean. Like I'm saying, like, psychologically, in a subconscious way, they're influenced by that. But
Thanks to this, I obtained additional knowledge and new practical skills. Now I can easily pay my utilities online, order medicines, tickets, and other services if needed.
It was a video of Grandpa Polina from Vinnytsia, who took our courses.
All right, so go to
and
4710.
learned how
This
to
one's
pay
probably the
utilities
craziest
bills,
one.
buy medicines in online pharmacies. The new era of digital country. Let's look together at the role of DIA and digitalization during the war.
When the world is falling apart, our main task is to protect the people. After the invasion, DIA acted reactively. We quickly introduced a new set of services vital in extreme situations. Evacuation Document combines all personal info in one digital doc and accelerates identification at checkpoints. E-Aid, financial support to sole proprietors to keep the economy going.
So that's PPP
War
loans
bonds,
or whatever.
aimed at rebuilding the liberated and soon-to-be deoccupied Ukrainian cities. State mortgage. Military, medics, teachers, and scientists can apply for the state mortgage right in the app. E-Enemy, a chatbot that helps any citizen safely transfer info about the location of Russian troops, names of collaborators, and enemy
That's
movements to the armed
fucking
forces.
Crazy.
Numerous attacks of Russian army destroyed a number of TV towers. To provide Ukrainians with uninterrupted access to information, we launched DIA Radio and DIA TV, so that even under blackouts, millions could feel present. And added the
crazy. Bro, like this is like War Machine.
So for your
freaking, like,
war, we'll feed you all the propaganda straight from
exactly,
our app.
exactly. And they say 10,000 people use it daily, like completely just gone, like
It's
brainwashed,
gone. It's
like into
completely
their
gone.
brain.
Oh my god.
The in-app army of drones game to help Ukrainians both distract and donate to the common purpose.
What the fuck? What? They have a drones game?
Via TV, so that even under blackouts, millions could feel present. And added the in-app army of drones game to
What the fuck? During a war?
Some donation game, but
What
yeah,
the
they can
fuck?
straight
help
up,
Ukrainians
like,
both distract and
gamify.
donate
Like,
to the
I've
common
seen the
purpose.
real videos.
Has the enemy launched cyber attacks on Ukraine? Of course they have, and they failed. Even when the world is falling apart, our main task is to protect the people. Together, we can build a stronger one.
So let's go back. Let's go to 50-50. Let's talk a little bit more. I want to skip this like propaganda bullshit.
Currently occupied. So he lost his home. In this photo, you can see him on the day he received a loan in May. He used it to get a two-room apartment
Is
in
this
Kyiv,
50-50?
where
Yeah.
his wife and daughter
no,
of 12 years will wait, and just in a few clicks. Since the first days on invasion, DIA has become people's tools of reconnaissance. It's absolutely unique to use such an app for gathering data on the movement of the enemy troops and hardware.
So let's, okay,
Ukrainians
I don't think
on the
people really,
occupied territories.
okay, so what he's saying, okay, is that people can snitch on each other within occupied territories. Okay, so the people standing up for their lives in Donbass, okay, the people who have been shelled on since 2014, since the Nazis freaking did Euromaidan, okay, they now know that somebody can just log into an app, somebody in Kiev can just be like, oh, there's somebody over here in Donbass, and get attacked. So this is a snitch app to snitch on people living within your own country. They try and like make it sound like it's occupied territories, like it's not your neighbor. But that's what they're saying. They're saying your fucking neighbor, like snitch on your neighbor. And you can obviously see how close it wouldn't take much for this to be adapted into a police snitch app. Oh, like SWAT your neighbor sort of thing. Like it really wouldn't take much. So you just see like as soon as like as soon as this like special military operation started, like that's when all the freaking crazy apps came out. But you can see how this is an everything app. You can see how this one app does all these different services. You can see how somebody like Elon Musk might be interested in doing something like this. Something he's talked about at length about. But this is like the evil shit.
Yeah, they're just loving this. They're loving it.
Fucking crazy. Imagine hitting a button with a target on it and being like, I want this person dead. Like, how demented. How fucking crazy.
Photos and
he shows off the
videos via DIA. A two-room apartment in Kyiv. Him, very creative nation. We even launched a special game where every Ukrainian can test their skills as a drone pilot. You log into DIA, choose a drone,
I know, it's not
and
funny.
shoot at the tank, just like that.
This is insane. No
like
way.
how brainwashed are the poor people in
This
Ukraine?
is insane. This
is coming. This is coming.
To go for
multiple
this is
countries have
great.
already taken the API.
This is coming.
Multiple
No, this is 100% coming to the United States. 100%. You don't think this is not coming?
I'm making the connection that I think Elon Musk wants to be that guy.
Oh, he's gonna.
I think that Twitter wants to be this app, so I think people should be aware of that. Like, but I think there'll be competitors. Like Facebook might be a competitor, but that's kind of how I'm like viewing these social media platforms at this point. Like they're vying for something like this to be this. This is where the money's at.
Where you can buy. Oh my god.
Everything. This is what happens
in the
when you
early
have
days on the invasion,
WeChat
we provided
fucking
access
capitalist
to TV
countries.
and radio via DIA because Russia cut off the occupied
While you're
territory.
playing our propaganda video game, we'll feed you this propaganda radio with this propaganda
this
TV,
like
and it's all on the same propaganda app that you use for everyday purchases, like your phone, your groceries.
Now I wonder. you know, remember how you have like the conscription guys just like pulling people over out of their cars and just like throwing them on the front lines. I wonder if they can track people through the app. So like people would be like, oh shit, I should have left my phone at home, because like the conscription guys like, oh yeah, we tracked you through the app. Come with us. It's time to fucking go to the military. Like, imagine if it's shit like that. I don't know. Like it doesn't like seem like that much of a leap for the government to be like, okay, the freaking war's on. We're now having conscription, and all of a sudden your phone can track you. Like next time you make a purchase, they know where you are. Like, I don't know. Just
I still can't with the Army of Drones game training Ukrainian.
Sad. Sad.
It's insane. That's just
stories. Turned out it was quite a good decision. Over 10,000 citizens listened to the radio on daily basis. 1 million citizens watched Eurovision Song Contest and over 1.2 million FIFA World Finals. Recently, we have also added CNN International, so Ukrainians can stay turned with foreign news. I also use it to improve my English, sorry. A special project for me. Let's circle back to cybersecurity. There is a
so you can probably go to 5830.
However, services
just want to show some of these services that we
at the construction case.
Maybe not look forward to.
For decades, Ukrainians had to deal with corruption that permeated state institutions. DIA set out to fix that. In 2 first years, DIA saved 16.3 billion of state budget and 20.5 thousand man-hours of time. In social and business spheres, we synchronized different systems and automated their work, thus making corrupt practices impossible.
Or making it easier. Really?
Introduced the Unified Information System for the social sphere, which is expected to save more than 30 billion of Ukrainian hryvnias. We digitized e-sick leave to lower doctors' workload and prevent forging
the music makes it so much worse.
This kind of documents.
I know, but this is interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of fucked. So they incorporated sick leave. Now I don't know how sick leave works
we launched
in Ukraine.
Sick leave in 2021. Prior, there were many attempts to reform this sphere, more than 10 years, but no luck. This is one of the most popular inquiry.
This is Black Mirror in real life. This is where it comes.
But what's funny to me about the like incorporating sick leave into it is that we know that some of the biggest thieves are the employers, not the employees. So there's no app in there to be like, oh, like I'm not getting paid appropriately for my time. But there is an app out there to make sure to reject your sick leave, or to be like, you know what, like we know we said 7 days, but we're pulling you back after 3. Like they'll be able to do stuff. They want to pitch it as convenient until it's not convenient for the government anymore, and then it's going to be really bad. So like, yeah, you can apply for your sick leave until like we call you and say we don't want you to have it anymore. Like, so, and then I guess the other kind of interesting thing that they position is they say that they save money by using the sick leave app, which begs the question that they were either, you know, as they try and pride themselves on getting rid of bureaucracy, they're still telling an awful lot of people no on their sick leave if they're saving $4 billion. So does that tell you that they're saving money because they're getting rid of fraud, or does it tell you that they're just making it harder for people to get sick leave? It's not very clear to me, and I'm more of like a cynical type to think that the government just doesn't want people to be on sick leave and would rather tell them no all the time. So is that, and then I guess 102 is kind of interesting. Hour in.
Automated, and money is totally targeted, so that people can spend it only on reconstruction purposes. This is how it works.
So they can.
In the end of my presentation, I would like to say a few more things. First of all, Administrator Samantha Power and USAID team, thank you for making this event possible.
What's the time
and
you're
not
at?
only for this.
103.
Thank you for believing in me and my team.
Okay.
USAID and
So,
US taxpayers
Go to 105.
became
Yeah, you can go to 105.
and
It's just
other
I already talked a little bit about it, but
you help
they do mention
create
that Visa
opportunities for
and Google are the
Ukrainians,
biggest, some of the
promote
biggest funders of this
equity,
shit.
and even save lives. Also, I would like to address business. Ukraine is now the best testing ground for technologies. Start working with us.
So this is the
We will
sales pitch.
get invaluable joint experience. Visa. Visa became one of the first companies with which the Ministry of Digital Transformation began to cooperate since its creation in
Why is
2018.
Visa helping
Visa supports the
create
development
a
of the
state-funded
DIA business
organization?
network of entrepreneur support centers, which we started development since 2020. I also
It's
would
a rough
like
sell.
to say thank you to the
Google.
entire team of Google and Google.org for their firm
Nice
position and
portfolio.
support for Ukraine during the war. The corporation contribution to our victory invaluable. Google supported us on the cyber front, handed over 50,000 Chromebooks for teachers, provided free use of Google Workspace services for civil servants and support
paid for it.
for DIA education. Thank you, our priceless partners.
We paid for it. Get to 107. It's an ad.
And the thing is disruptive ideas. I welcome you all to join projects you will watch next, so we can create the successful mutual future together.
Громадяни України, сьогодні вранці президент Путін оголосив проведення спеціальної військової операції на Донбасі. Росія здійснила удари по нашій військовій інфраструктурі.
Let's look 8 years ahead. 2030. The history of the new Ukraine is studied all over the globe. Why? Because Ukraine became the most digital and convenient country in the world. Scripts have replaced bureaucrats. 500,000 former public servants are successfully integrated in the new economy. No more red tape, but paperless. No more banknotes, but cashless. Yes, we became the first country
We all love cashless societies here.
Yeah.
to abandon paper money. Ukraine now has the most affordable e-residency.
You know that's coming here? This
E-residency.
sounds like a great plan for the United States to ban paper money.
Thanks to Ukrainian engineers and programmers, the R&D centers of the world's top technology companies operate successfully, and Ukraine ranks first in the world by the number of startups per capita. Ukrainian courts are guided by artificial intelligence, and all notarial
Works
acts
with AI.
That's concerning. That's pretty concerning.
That should be very alarming. Just courts making up shit.
That's the shit that I mean by like having like an AI president.
Well, I showed you the other day. Like I saw a thing, like totally separate subject, but like courts with AI. So we saw a thing the other day. ChatGPT. This lawyer apparently was looking up, like trying to like get some extra info on a case, and use ChatGPT. And ChatGPT made up cases, and now that lawyer is in trouble with the judge for submitting, like a case file with fraudulent cases in it. ChatGPT just made up cases. So the idea that like an AI court, like, come on, if it wants to make shit up, like, and like all you got is a phone telling you yes or no, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, ChatGPT is too into role playing right now.
take place online. Ukrainian customs is fully automatic and the fastest in the world. Customs clearance and car registration can now be done in 3 clicks from your smartphone. Because of war and internal migration, we have built the most flexible and modern digital education.
Right now.
Brave military and civilians get quality treatment with modern remote monitoring and e-health systems. Ukraine also has the most effective cyber defense in the world. After the horrors of 2022, Ukraine focused on security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and
Look,
the sleep of
Iron Dome.
Ukrainians is protected by
Iron
an
Dome.
ultra-modern Iron Dome. The Ukrainian
2030,
government is
Ukraine's
digital,
gonna have an
more
Iron Dome
like
by
an IT
2030.
company in terms of the efficiency
They're gonna get their Iron Dome.
Dude, like that's fucking crazy. So
and
they're gonna get their
e-health
own Iron Dome.
systems. Ukraine also
They
has
want
the
one by
most focused on
2030.
security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and the sleep of Ukrainians is protected by an
Are you serious? Where's our Iron Dome?
Yeah, like what? I mean,
What
that's
the hell?
apparently they need it more than we do.
ultra
Apparently that's part
modern
of their
Iron Dome.
2030 dystopia is they want a
I
dome
mean,
too.
apparently we're getting attacked by Russia and China with air balloons simultaneously. So I mean,
Wild. So they're like what? They're like trying to play the victim card. They think that they're like so going to be so prone. So they think that they're going to be such a rump
just a
state
cash check
and so
for
prone to attack because all that's going to be left of Ukraine by the time this operation is all over is just fucking a bunch of Nazis. It's just going to be a bunch of shitty people living in not. So they're going to need an Iron Dome to protect them because everybody else is going to want to fucking erase them off the map all the time. These poor Nazis. It's like, man, it's never the like. I don't want to say it. I don't want this. Never mind. It's just when you see an Iron Dome go up, it's usually not going to like the nicest people. You want that, you know?
The Ukrainian government is digital, more like an IT company in terms of the efficiency of implementing decisions. And one can register a land plot, start construction, open a business, or get a license.
this is a good question. I just want to like, how does this do against hypersonics? Because I was actually talking to India a little bit about this the other day about the Russian hypersonic missiles.
I would think. Well, I know that the hypersonics we talked about the
wasn't
hypersonic
native based, but like
gets through Patriot systems, and I don't know if Iron Dome. I don't know enough.
Talk to
about
Scott
it.
Ritter about that. That'd be good.
But I would think that the Kinzel missiles could get through fucking Iron Dome setup.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah,
Like they sent like 3, and it took out an entire like Patriot missile thing. So it's
there's
like,
not much that they can do with the Kinzels.
and like they have also like that like hopping one. Like, have you seen the different stuff that Russia has? They have all sorts of shit that would fuck up Iron Dome.
I haven't seen the
They have one that like a rocket goes off and then it splits off and then that splits off and then that splits off. So it just like freaking completely like decimates the entire area.
That's insane.
It's like freaking Iron.
Yeah,
shit.
we just roll through it like minute, but Ukraine is winning. Just keep believing that.
And register a car or real estate from a smartphone automatically in one click. Ukraine is the freest and digital. This is all because international partners and the world's leading technology companies supported the Digital for Freedom initiative and united to help Ukraine recover through digitalization. Building a new Ukraine together, free and the fastest, brave and digital.
All right, I want to wrap up a little bit.
That's all.
There's one more thing that I want to go to 114. I'll go at 114, then I'll just kind of wrap up everything. I think that's. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to connect it to the Whitney Webb thing, or is that?
I'll do
Now,
more of that
please, to
later. We've
present-
already been talking about this topic for probably about an hour or so.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good.
So I'm definitely going to come back to this because I think like this stuff kind of like is like interesting to me. And I'm just saying that like
it's important.
once they're like
That's
now that it's in DC, now it's in our
angle of it.
background, now that we're seeing shock doctrine taking place and like the venture capitalists are being appealed to by all these representatives in Ukraine, like we're just going to see it accelerated at a crazy pace. So I know I'm going to keep up with it. There's going to be plenty of more stuff to talk about. I was looking at more stuff, but like it's just I could go on for hours about this stuff. But this guy, I think this guy's Vice, like he's one of the VPs of freaking Visa. But yeah, the 11440, I guess.
Who is the chairman of the Eurasia Group? Thank you.
Eurasia Group's crazy. I'm not gonna get into it tonight, but Eurasia Group is crazy.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Pamela Spratlin, and as you've heard, I'm here to represent the Eurasia
First of all,
Foundation.
isn't it wild?
Today. And I'd
They
just
got
like
an
to
old
say,
black lady
I'm
to say
deeply
thank you
impressed
so
by
much.
what digital
Thank you so much,
transformation means
Nazis,
even in
for
this
hosting
room.
this
Warner
event.
Theater is a very old, wonderful theater
Awful.
in Washington, D.C., and the colors of the
Perfect, like
Ukrainian
Michelle
flag
Obama.
are up here. I
Oh,
don't know if the
so
audience can
gross.
see them, but it was just a nice touch, and it's wonderful to see. It's a real privilege to be here. Let me add my own deep admiration for the Ukrainian people and all they are going through right now and how they are weathering this terrible attack and all they are doing to face forward and think about the future. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, also for your introduction. I just want to say a few words about partnership because the Eurasia Foundation has been a partner of Ukraine in so much of what we have heard
Let's go to
about
114 or
Eurasia
I guess
Foundation
it's
is a nonprofit international development organization dedicated
Alright.
to the idea that societies function best when people take responsibility for their own civic and economic prosperity.
All right,
We
so
envision
we can
a
pause
future
it here.
where all
I don't want to
people
listen to this lady anymore.
can.
This is kind of dragging on. But one thing, like she says, okay, nonprofit international development organization dedicated to the idea that societies function best when people take responsibility for civic and economic responsibility, okay? So I kind of want to paint the picture that I think the Eurasia Foundation is kind of like the go-between between USAID and Ukraine, okay? So, like, there's more to it here. I've already seen board members be both associated with USAID and Eurasia Foundation and this DIA act. But I just kind of want to tie together that, like, this is a cutout. This is probably a cutout. And this is how USAID is funding money directly to Ukraine to implement these kind of crazy strategies. And this is kind of how it works when we are developing in other countries. It's not like USAID is just giving money to these other countries. They use other NGOs like the Eurasia Foundation to kind of funnel money through so they have their own agenda. And they can be like, well, the government's not directly interfering, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's always like just fronts.
But yeah, she actually says in that speech, she says, like, so the Eurasia Foundation is responsible for building, okay, the Kiev School of Economics, okay? That's freaking crazy, okay? That's like the freaking neoliberals in Chicago. It's like the worst people of the worst coming up with these policies that make it okay for Ukraine to get completely, like, decimated by these capitalists in the middle of a war. But anyway, yeah, I'm kind of over listening to this lady anymore. I just think it's kind of funny. But coming to a country near us very soon, we already see that, was it Estonia, Zanzibar, and Ethiopia are adapting the app. I think it's fair to
And so
say
make
that
this the connection. I guess like the only connection we can really make right now is just a speculation on Elon Musk's X app.
like it's literally
I mean, it's almost like a parallel, right? It's like pretty much the same exact thing, or at least it serves the same purpose.
I would say, like, they're saying very explicitly it's an everything app. What has Musk said? Everything app, everything app, everything app. You know, I think the fact that Visa is sponsoring this means that Visa is very, 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 like, into the technology. Visa is going to continue supporting something like
Digital
this.
payments. Yeah.
Digital payments. You have Fed now around the corner, coming out in 2 months. So I think, like, you know, we've already said that we think Fed now is going to be on the Twitter platform within a few months. If that's the case, like, what? I just think it's just going to snowball itself. Like, I don't know. I see,
Over
like,
time, they'll find.
It's interesting because I see things like you look at Facebook, and obviously if you're trying to find an apartment using Facebook as opposed to Twitter, it might be a little bit easier because you got like the marketplace thing. So I would see Twitter adapting and incorporating some sort of marketplace thing down the line. They're going to try and incorporate more things to make this more viable for us, but I do think that Musk kind of wants to make the Dia app for Americans. You know, think about how much money he's
Basically, what it
getting.
is. Do you know which tech entrepreneur is behind this company, Dia? We should probably do it.
I just know that Fedorov is the. Look more into it. I just know that Fedorov is the minister running that shit.
We can always like put together like Substack articles too, and kind of like put the pieces together, like kind of like just like I don't know. That's just speculation.
I mean, at this point, we can see that. So when they started, they had like 30 applications within it. Now they have over 100 services in it. So over time, since the dispute between Ukraine and Russia, there's been more services added. So it's going to be one of those things where it's not like the Everything app needs to come out with everything all at once. They can come out with 10 things and call it the Everything app.
It'll be gradual. It'll be like gradual
and then
acceptance.
Next year it's 20 things. Next year it's 50 things, and eventually like using that app for everything.
Right.
So I could see something like that happening, and I think the payment processing is going to be like the beginning. If we see FedNow go to Twitter, then like I would think this sort of stuff is like right behind it. Because
that makes sense.
Fucking Visa gets a little bit of money off the top for every single traffic.
Oh, and Google too. They're loving it.
The education thing is very scary too. Like imagine the state, like you getting issued a Chromebook by the state to run education at home. Like that just sounds crazy to me. That just sounds crazy, but I think it's a scary time. And like the first thing that scared me was that they've been doing this stuff for years. They've been doing this since 2020. It's not like they did it like 6 months ago. So
in development for even longer too.
Yeah, they say 26 forever. So we're way behind the ball on this one.
Yeah. Now you can get an e-abortion. I'm just dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but okay, before we wrap up the show tonight, I did want to talk briefly about Kosovo, because there's a little bit of like a framing thing going on here. I mean, this is relatively breaking news. This is happening today, as of like just a couple hours ago. So this just happened to catch my attention. This is going to be really weird as a Croatian defending Serbs, but it's like in my bio, I'm a Yugoslav at heart. They bombed the shit out of these people for 78 days, famously. And so a lot of like what I think it's like the KOF, it's like basically the Kosovo like operational force. They're like tagged with NATO to like basically like just like occupy Kosovo and just like ease like ethnic tensions. Like meanwhile, it's basically like the way I want people to like understand this conflict is a lot like China and Taiwan. There's like definitely differences. Correct me if that's not a fair comparison, because there's a lot of tension and there's like a lot of history between these two states. And ultimately, at the end of the day, despite what NATO, goes ahead and like declares whatever this, they could call an independent state, Kosovo is Serbia. It has been historically, and just because like NATO, a single organization says so, of which they got a lot of like different like geopolitical flack from a bunch of different leaders around the world, but this was like one of like the biggest geopolitical disasters of not only Bill Clinton's time but like NATO's history. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, this is how the Guardian said me it. They're saying Serb protesters threw tear gas at NATO soldiers. That's cool. And that's got to be scary shit for a place that was bombed for 3 months. Mm-hmm. You can look up like the trauma and like the horrific stories that come out of that. I mean, I forgot like which soccer player goes into that detail, but I
that's crazy.
I will find that.
I really don't. My understanding of what's going on in Kosovo is pretty limited. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I wanted people to understand this is that when we kind of reference back to manufacturing consent and how the media frames certain ethnic groups. Now, I'm not one to like defend Serbia of like, you know, not doing ethnic cleansing or like not doing any sort of, you know, horrific mass murderous things. Like, of course they have, but so have the Albanians, and they just happen to highlight one particular side. It's kind of like how the Israelis are like the good guys, but Hamas are dangerous terrorists. And ultimately, this conflict wouldn't exist if it wasn't for NATO's involvement, and the entire history goes back to that. So here's another propaganda piece that's kind of misframing this here. Well, this is actually just from a journalist, but let me share this tab. This guy, Gunther Fellinger, he's saying send in the Navy, send in the U.S. Navy, send him to Kosovo right now. He wants to stop surfing. He immediately like I hate like the people's like whose like minds work like this. That are
so
like,
quick to just be like war.
I had this like parody tweet like mine in my mind earlier. It's like we got to send the troops. We got to send them in now. It's a human rights violation. This is an outrage.
Oh my God!
Meanwhile, what they're not talking about, is, you know, thank God that we managed to get this kind of video because this is from a Serbian telegram that shows exactly what happened between this clash between Serbian protesters and NATO.
So have there been NATO troops in Serbia for like decades then? I don't hear anything. Yeah, you're muted. I don't hear anything. It sounds like we lost audio. Oh, there we
Napiši ovdje! Napiši me! Ajde ovamo! Ideš moju porodicu! Moju familiju! Ajde ovamo, bre! Ajde ovamo! Ajde, pusti državni sud! Ajde ovamo! Ovamo, Vrati se! Sedi dole!
Crazy. You're still muted. I don't know if I'm muted. I don't hear anything. I don't hear you. I definitely don't hear you. I'm probably with the chat on this one. Your audio is out. Oh, I hear it now. You're like, my mic wasn't hooked in.
Yeah. So you tell me who started that. Was it a Serb protester that was shooting off tear gas and smoke bombs? I don't know, because it.
Снайпер. Ебем ли ти, маму, пиш!
Damn.
Ajde, mamu, ti jebem, bre! Ne, beži!
They're running away. Like they're not even. Tensions are escalating to a point where, and you got to give the Serbs like as much as like whatever Balkan you are, whatever it shouldn't matter, but like. God damn, they went straight at NATO with their hands. They're just here's Serbs fighting for their existence in Kosovo against it's not against together. But NATO. This has been a NATO hotspot since 1999.
Okay.
Kosovska Mitrovica. This was stolen from Serbia, famously in 1999 by Bill Clinton and NATO, and it destroyed my parents' country, and it's gone, and it's still diluted into this like 8 different countries now. And you gotta respect some of the balls. They're fucking they're shooting they're shooting stuff at them.
That sounds gnarly.
They're shooting stuff at them and they're attacking them with fucking wooden clubs. You're gonna tell me that's protest? Like I just don't like it. There was just like another narrative framing that I felt was like a necessary. Kind of. I imagine not a lot of people are going to cover that.
It's like when people say like, oh, Hamas shot their like homemade rockets, like Israel has a right to defend themselves.
Right. Yeah, and it's like it's going back to not only is it going back to 1999, but like back in earlier of 2022, tensions were still rising up here a little bit more. Back when a lot of Kosovo, like the Kosovo force, wanted their own like Kosovinian, I guess. I don't even know what you call it, like Kosovinian identity cards, and they want like their own license plates because they're running on Serbian license plates right now. So they're basically Serbians, like they're more or less Serbians, but like just because they have like this special like okay from a NATO, like the NATO organization, like they there's factions that want to pretend, but that like if you ask the general population, Kosovo is Serbia.
Kosovo is Serbia, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, folks. We ran up to 2:30, which is a good time. I think
it's a good time to call it.
We had fun with Jose too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Anything that you can do to support really helps. And we're INN fam is rising by the day. We're not only getting criticized and gaslighted by the majority report, but
that's true.
We're pairing up with
a million sub channels.
We're gonna take media back. We're taking media back, and it's gonna be ours. Mainstream media is dead. Subscribe to INN. Stay independent, folks. Hope you guys have a good night.
Yeah.